So I'm just at my rigging bench over here prepping some gear to go for a jungle perch fish, and I thought I'd lay out everything that I carry with me in my backpack, and I'll go through all this step by step. So starting off with my backpack down there, I've been carrying that spotter's bag for a long time. What I like about this particular bag is the fact that it has got heaps of componentry. So braid, scissors, pliers go up in the front here, plastics and terminal tackle go in there, lunch goes in there, first aid kits, my water that I carry with me, that sort of stuff all goes in there. It's got handy little side pockets over here where my HeadlockZ and sunscreen lives in, for easy access. This side over here as well, pop my leaders in and every other little bits and pieces. I carry a landing net with me. This is just a tiny little BCF issue Rogue one. They're real handy if you're fishing by yourself, and if you do get into a really good fish, that you can net that fish. Also gives you the opportunity to look after that fish a little bit better, you know, if you're setting up cameras on tripods and that sort of gear to try and get some photos. What goes with me in my bag, I've got a GoPro clamp here. That's for a phone mount, so I can just clamp that onto a tree or something like that, put the phone on the timer if I want to quickly use that, do short little videos and whatever with that on there. The Nikon AW1, what I like about that guy is I can shoot in RAW with that, and it's waterproof, so I can do underwater photos with that guy as well. Obviously HeadlockZ, sunscreen, snakebite kit. These guys here are pretty important, and that also ties in with my PLB that I've got attached to the top of my bag. I think it's quite often overlooked. Some of the places I walk into is very remote, no phone service and that sort of gear. You know, it's the one day that you don't carry that sort of gear that you're probably going to need it and regret not having it, so I just take it out every time, and luckily so far I haven't had to use it yet. Little cooler bag, smoko goes in there, water bottles goes in there. I'm never too worried personally about keeping my water too cold, so I don't mind drinking warm water. But yeah, that keeps everything nice and cool in there. Smoko wise too, you know, the usual sort of hiking slash snacks. You know, nuts, you know, high protein sort of gear while you're going. I personally try and stay away from artificial sugars and that sort of gear, so I take fruit with me. Hat and sunnies. Definitely carry a decent bladed knife with me. This guy straps to my chest actually. More so, you know, if you're walking through really dense scrub, we get a lot of rubber vine up in this area here. You know, sometimes you can get yourself caught up in that, and that's an easy way of getting yourself out. Gear wise for the JPs, I carry light gear. Like, I don't take a lot of stuff with me because you don't really need that much stuff. And you know, with the ZMan plastics that I fish, they're very durable on fish. You know, you can tie on 1 3-inch minnow and fish that all day and not have to retie. With the nature of the creeks too, what's handy is the fact that you can go and unsnag 99.9% of your lures. Unless you send it 30 feet up in a tree by accident, you're going to get your lure back, so you don't need to carry that much gear with you. Stealth fluorocarbon leader, 10 pound I find is plenty. You don't need anything more than that. My rod and reel preference is the little LRF Gen 2s, which is just a little glass tip rod. They're fairly inexpensive rods. The glass tip on these guys is rough as, you know, it's as tough as nails. So really handy for, you know, when you're walking through bush and that sort of stuff and you accidentally bump the tip into anything or whatever, it's not going to break. Still got plenty of power into it, you know, to move fish out of snags and that sort of gear, because they will sometimes try and bury you. So that's a little 1 to 3 kilo one, 6'6". The reel, little ITEX 1000 Okuma. Really cool little reel for this sort of stuff. Lightweight, comfy handle on those guys, decent drag on them, and they cast about a country mile. So for a small spooled little reel, they really cast really well. These guys, this one of mine spooled up with a 6-pound pulse, the X8 braid. And then yeah, obviously running that 10-pound fluorocarbon leader. Then I've just got a tiny little box here with a couple of Jigheads and 3.0 ChinlockZ hooks, which is what I run my 3-inch minnows on. I've got a couple of 1/12 ounce 2 hours ChinlockZ SWSs over there, and then Jig Spinners, of course, also always carry them with me. Right, then that's my hook selection there. The Jigheads obviously match up with those Jig Spinners and whatnot. Plastic selection wise, well, the world's your oyster. JPs I find are very reactive feeders, so they they're generally not that super fussy on what they're going to eat. A couple of my favorites, I'll just move that out of the way, is I like 5-inch StreakZ curltails for them. You do tend to catch a lot of more bigger fish on these guys than smaller fish. The cool thing about them are the fact that 2 inches of that bait is consumed by the tail, so even with a 3/0 hook on a 5-inch bait, you still get a really good hookup ratio on that because the fish will inhale the whole bloody thing. Color wise too, I like reactionary colors, so bright colors. I do put a couple of natural colors in. I'll get into that in a little bit later of why. FrogZ, first thing in the morning, late in the afternoon. If you do get a surface bite, or if you're walking a creek, you'll quite often see a lot of green tree frogs and that sort of stuff around. If they're about and they're jumping out of the water in front of you and whatever, then get into those. That's obviously matching the hatch. And then if I had to choose one lure to throw for JPs, well, without fail, it'd be 3-inch MinnowZ. Again, these guys, I'll take two per color in one of these packets. And again, like I said, I like the bright colors. So, electric chicken, that sexy painted color is really good. Pink glow, so I've already robbed 2 out of this packet. Pink glow is always a good color. And then I'll do 2 natural colors, so mud minnow and say fried bologna, just in case they are shut down on those sort of hot colors. But yeah, in a nutshell, that is what I carry in my backpack just for a single day's JP fishing.